am not that much of a hater, but fuck me, he really has something wrong with him. Hey guys, it's Makaila and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be all about the worst lie I've ever been told. And this is probably the biggest story I could tell you. Once you've heard it, you're gonna be like, holy shit, who have you dated? This story is like extremely retardedly crazy. It is so next level that I don't even know how it happened to me. I'm gonna get straight into it. This is about a relationship that I've had in my past that completely, I found out so many lies that he told me. I'm about to tell you all the lies that he told me, and you're gonna sit back and be like, holy shit. So this guy I dated for about 9 months. I was moved to a country town where I didn't know anyone. There was like no one my age that were half decent. Like there was really not even people really my age. They were all younger, and I didn't have time for that. I had found a guy who had said he was from Perth as well, and he had moved to this town. So I thought, okay, someone's on the same page as me, you know, he's not actually from the place that I live in now, he's from the place that I used to live, so he completely understands city life. So I thought that's the kind of person that I can relate to and we can get on the same page. He was also just a little bit older than me too, so I thought, perfect. I got to know this guy, we got talking. He's not really the kind of guy that is my type at all, but what are you going to do in a situation where you've got really no one? After getting to know him more, I thought, you know, put my standards, or not my standards, but my type aside, and we'll get out of my comfort zone and just see what happens. So I ended up talking to this guy for ages. We started dating. I ended up moving in with him, in with his parents, which was the shittest time of my life. And that's when I started to get all the lies that I now know are lies, but back then I thought was the truth. The first lie he told me was the biggest lie of all. He had a half tattoo sleeve, and on the sleeve was a cross, and it had like clouds. I think it had a cross, and it had clouds with the sun coming out, and I don't think it was a cross. I think it was Japanese writing. And it was like New Beginnings or something, he told me. That's what it was. Anyway, I asked him what his tattoo meant, and he told me that he had a brother from the past that was younger than him, had passed away. And of course I was like, holy shit, like I'm so sorry. This had blown my mind, and I thought, this poor guy, like he's had a younger brother that's passed away, like what has he been through? This brother had a name as well. He gave this brother a name, and he told me, I had asked, you know, what had happened, how did he pass away? He told me that him and his brother went to a park, a ball was kicked on the road, the brother went to go get the ball, got hit by a car, the car driver drove away, left him for dead basically. Then my ex-boyfriend told me that he went and picked up his brother, and he watched his brother die in his arms. Now that I hear that story, I'm like, that is way too stereotypical movie kind of story. But back then, the way he told me the story, the way that he said things about it, all the different details, I was like, okay, this is legit 100%. There's not for a second did I even question him, because why would you question someone that tells you that kind of thing? You don't. You would never think that that was not true. So for the next 9-ish months that we were together, you know, I had this massive sympathy for this guy, because I just didn't know what he had gone through and what he was going through dealing with that. It was apparently a few years before we started dating. He told me that the reason that his parents divorced was because they couldn't deal with the death of their son. You know, things got really shitty after he had passed away. So, you know, as normal couples do, when they have massive crisis in the family, most of them break up. And that was the reason for their divorce, is what he told me. He also had said that they never really speak about it. So, you know, I never wanted to bring it up in front of his mum or his dad or his brothers, for instance, because, you know, why would you bring up death in the family? You just wouldn't. But, you know, in a normal family, if they were dealing with it, you would be able to speak about it. But he told me it was completely off limits. You know, don't say anything to mum, don't say anything to my brother, my dad, nothing, because we do not speak about it. It's just too big a deal. So I respected that. I didn't ever say anything about it. So for Christmas, I decided to buy him a necklace, like a real gold necklace, and it was just a chain with a crucifix on it, and on the back I had it engraved with his brother's name, and I think it said something like forever close to you, or forever in your heart, or something like that. Now I had no money. I was working like 3 hours a week, having to travel on a bus, an hour and a half to get to work and an hour and a half to get back home, because that's how like out of the town that we were. We were so far away from like civilized shit that it took an hour and a half to get to work, for 3 hours work and then an hour and a half back. And not to mention I had to pay $28 every single time I got on that bus just to get somewhere. So I had no money. But the little money that I had, I spent all on him and his birthday or Christmas. When I gave it to him, he was like so overwhelmed and crying and like, oh my god, like, you know, this means so much to me. And I just thought, you know, I've done something really nice for this guy now, you know, he can have something close to him that represents his brother. I don't know, I thought I was doing the right thing. After that, I decided that it would be really nice maybe if I could locate his brother's tombstone so we could go and put flowers there or visit his brother, because, you know, it was always constantly, if he was feeling down, it was like, oh, sorry, I'm thinking about my brother, or, you know, if he was really upset, he'd be like, you know, I've just got a lot on my mind right now, and, you know, I gave him his space, his time, because I don't know what it's like to deal with that when it's that close to home, you know, like when it's one of your own siblings. So I always respected anything that ever came to that situation. Anyway, we were sitting on the bed together. He was literally right next to me and I was on my phone. I was Googling all the different cemeteries because he told me he didn't know where his brother was located. So he told me the area where he used to live, so I thought maybe it'll be around there. I rang so many cemeteries, so many, trying to locate this dead brother, and he gave me the whole name, like my ex-boyfriend gave me his whole dead brother's name. I had rung so many and they could not find him whatsoever. I was just so confused. I didn't understand how they couldn't know where he was, or he just wasn't in any of the ones that he said that he might be. So my next step obviously was to ask his mum. Even though they didn't want to talk about it, I thought, look, we gotta find her. Like, someone's gotta know where it is. So I asked him if he could ask his mum, because I didn't want to. It wasn't really my place. I asked him if he could. I remember him walking out the backyard. I followed him, but I just stayed like near the door, and I saw him walk away from me on the phone to his mum, and he was asking about it. He was acting all sad and, you know, really not comfortable, I suppose. And he was on the phone for a good like 15 minutes. He told me that she didn't even know, and I was just so confused. Like, they were a weird family as it was, so I don't know, I didn't think anything of it. I can't believe I was that naive, but I didn't think anything of it. So now I'm going to skip to when we broke up. When we broke up, I was at work full time, and he would message me all these insults, tell me everything about me that was ugly or bad, things that he hated about me. He called me, like, you know, just really nasty names, things to make someone feel so bad. And I had put so much effort into this guy, like, and his problems, you know. I had been there for him, and for him to turn around and just be so nasty back was just terrible. And he told me that, because obviously he had moved in with me when I moved back to Perth, he told me he was sleeping in a car park in a beach because he had nowhere else to go, and his car was the only thing he had. So he was sleeping in a car, and I was like, you know, come sleep in the spare room if you need to, you know. I don't want you sleeping in a car park. Like, what are you doing? He always had said no, like, I don't want to do that. So I said, fine, I've offered, but you're not taking it. I was still so worried about him because I don't want anyone to sleep in a car. I'm not that kind of person. Even if I hate you, I'm not like, go sleep in a car park. And because I still had believed all of this brother situation, I just didn't want to put any more pressure on him than I had to. So then after that, he had told me he had to go to hospital, and I was like, why are you in hospital now? Like, what is so wrong that you need to go to hospital? All this while I'm trying to work as well. And he told me he went to hospital because he was starting to get really sick and he couldn't deal anymore, and he had to go to hospital. In my head, I was like, you know, that's okay. At least he's in a bed then, at least he's getting food, and at least he's, you know, being looked after. He would refuse to tell me which hospital he was in, but still wanted me by his side. So I rung around all the different hospitals in the area that he was in, and none of them had said that he was there. He was not in any of the hospitals at all. He wasn't checked in and hadn't been checked in since like 2008 or something. So I was like, where is he? I didn't understand how all of these things were just not adding up. Like, Everything was just not happening for me. He was feeding me all of these lies constantly, and all I was trying to do was help him, and he didn't want a bar of it. It was all just lies. So let's go now to all the resolution of the lies. I had found out that he was not sleeping in a car park, he was not in a hospital, he was actually cheating on me while we were still together. One, with a girl from his past who was pregnant. Two, while he was sleeping in a car park, he was actually sleeping in another girl from his past bed and was living there for the past week. So while I'm here worrying about him being in hospital and him sleeping in a car, he is really living it up at some other girl's house. He had told her that I'd kicked him out, I wanted nothing to do with him, I was so mean to him, he had nowhere to go, he was basically stranded, and that's why she took him in. And I was like, are you fucking joking me? So after I had him, you know, messaging me all the time, calling me, like telling me all these nasty things about me, then I had her coming at me, I was just like, I've had enough. Like, what have I done to deserve this? I've been so nice to this guy, and all I've got right now is negative shit coming at me, and I'm like, what do I do? So I went and told my mum, and my mum was like, you know, I've had enough of this, like, you don't deserve this. So she went and contacted his mum and said, look, your son is currently in a bad place. Makaila and him have broken up now, but yet he's still messaging her, but he's calling her nasty names, he's telling her that he's in hospital, he's in a car park, and she had brought up about she's like, you know, I respect that you don't talk about it. Over the last something months, she has been told all about your son that's passed away. His name is such and such. This ex-boyfriend's putting a lot of pressure on Makaila about that kind of thing. And she was just like, what do you mean? I don't have a dead son. Like, what are you talking about? She had no idea what the hell my mum was talking about. So my mum called me at work, and I was distraught. I was dealing with so much. I just couldn't understand what I had done so bad to deserve anything I was getting. And she just said to me, look, Makaila, like, I've got something to tell you, and when I tell you, you're really not going to believe me, but I need you to understand it. And I just said to her, there's no dead brother, is there? And she said, no, it was all a lie. And I was like, wow. And that is when everything was put into perspective for me. He was just a liar. He really believed his own lies. To sit there and cry when I give him a present based on his dead brother, to pretend he was calling his mum on the phone talking about his dead brother where he was located in the cemetery, it was all fake. He did none of it. He wasn't even on the phone to his mum. He was literally holding the phone to his ear, talking for 15 minutes in front of me. Everything was all a lie. And I just could not believe that I had believed something like that, because I'm pretty smart and I'm pretty clued on to things, but that just slipped me, like, completely, and I don't know how. I had found out after that he had fraud charges against him. He had tried to sell something on eBay and got like thousands of dollars for the thing he was selling, and then never actually sent the item because he never had an item to send. And he was he was charged for fraud for that. Soon after that, he was claiming he was a photographer. He was stealing people's images from the web and putting his own name on them, claiming they were his, and advertising himself as a photographer. And I saw right through that, because after I realized how much of a liar he was, everything made sense to me. Like, everything was so obvious to me that it was stupid. He is probably the worst person I have ever come across. The kinds of things that he thinks of, the kinds of things that he does is so fucking stupid that I literally do not like his existence. I am not that much of a hater, but fuck me, he really has something wrong with him. Still to this day, I know that he is doing stupid stuff that I sit back and I'm like, who do you think you are to even be able to get away with this? If people could see how thick you are and how fake you are, people would hate you left, right and center. I've never had anything to do with him since we broke up so many years ago. I do know that for a while he was creating so many fake accounts, trying to add me, just trying to stalk my stuff, and I'm pretty sure he still stalks my stuff to this day. So hey, you're a fuckhead. Thanks for watching my shit. Thanks for viewing my shit. Just know that you were the worst time of my life, and I feel sorry for the next bitch that has to deal with you. He even tried to start making accounts and talking to my friends to get information about me. Like, what are you doing with your life? So basically, out of 10, I got a 10 out of 10 dickhead for an ex-boyfriend. I'm sorry if I seem really mean or really negative about it, but it was such a shitty situation, and I don't know, I'm not really like this mean to most people, but he deserves everything like I've ever said about him. So I'm sorry, but yeah, if you were in my shoes, I'm sure you'd feel the same way. If you guys have had any stories like this, like tell me your crazy ex-boyfriend stories, please. Leave me a comment down below and I would love to read it, because I don't know, I've never met someone that can top that story. That's the worst story I've ever heard. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. And if you haven't already, please can you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also add me on all my social media, my Facebook, Instagram and Snapchat. All the details are down below in the description bar. And other than that, I'm gonna go. Hope you guys have an amazing day and I'll see you soon. Bye!